So
Okay.
Sharon, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I can't remember. Last night, you obviously tried to get on with us on the Facebook Live. Had some challenges, so we apologise for that.
Yep.
That's fine.
Did you want to maybe bring up what it was, the question you wanted to ask, and maybe as a starting point, we'll go from there?
Yeah, look, I actually can't remember. I guess I was really shocked that I got chosen. So I was like, yeah, I shouldn't say that. I wasn't shocked chosen because I was like, yeah, I'm going to get on this.
Yeah.
And I did. So I was pretty stoked. So really just a general reading.
Okay.
I'm going through lots of different journeys at the moment. So I'm really open to receiving any advice or any information that will assist.
Yeah, okay. So with those journeys you're going on, is there any particular ones you're finding challenging or not knowing which way to go?
Probably the only thing, I have transitioned out of a corporate role that I'd been in for 20 years,
Yeah.
Okay.
into a very alternative role.
Yeah.
And so, which I love, and I know it's exactly where I want to be.
Yeah.
And I'm just really quite open to where I'm.
Is that causing a little?
Sorry?
Is that causing a little bit of fear, like in the heart?
Oh, fear is huge for me in the sense that I try and manage that with love, because obviously, you can't have those two emotions at the same time. So I always try and blanket the other one.
Yeah.
But it was a job that I was in for a long time, and it was a very secure job, which is not really like me either. That was probably was more of a free spirit until then. So,
yes. So what I picked up as soon as you mentioned about the new job, there was like the heart sort of had a bit of a skip the beat, so to speak. And so it's just a little bit of fear because it feels like you are following your heart, and there's a bit of fear that it might not work out or something like that. Is that?
It's probably not even not work out so much, because I've started to do quite a lot of the work anyway.
Yeah.
I was doing that on weekends, so nothing like multitasking.
Yeah.
And so I know I can do it, but I guess it's that letting go of that. And money for me isn't that much of an issue either, but it's letting go of that money. How bizarre is that?
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. It's like the panic is like, this is really what I want to do. I'm following my heart here, but what if it doesn't pay enough to keep it going? It's like,
well, to support my lifestyle.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I tune into people's inner childs, and generally what they show me is a picture of what they're doing. And I just tune into your one, and yours is kind of like doing this, like kind of peeking through.
That is so me.
Is that what am I doing? Is that okay?
And I very much know about the inner child because I'm a Louise Hayes facilitator and coach. So, she is very big on the inner child, and I've done a lot of work around the inner child. So I get that, and I don't know. I've got nothing.
Yeah. That's so what we generally do is just sort of, it's more like looking for the subconscious blockages is the easier part.
Yeah, great.
And especially because you've done Louise Hay and stuff like that, so it's easy to have a talk on that sort of stuff. So it's just easier for us to actually ask you questions and stuff regarding that. So what's the new vocabulary you've moved into?
Pardon?
What's the new vocation you've moved into?
Quiet. Sorry.
So what's the new vocation you've moved into with the work?
Well, I'm a psychic medium, but obviously I'm doing a lot of work I'm a meditation teacher, and I'm just moved into the whole holistic wellbeing side of it, doing a number of courses in that space.
Yeah.
Still studying, keeping educated.
Yeah.
Do you feel a little unsure about transitioning your skills over? Does that ring through?
You know what? That probably for me is not too hard, because I'm really grateful for the skills that I earned and learnt in the corporate world, because it's so easily just flowing through into this new space.
Yeah. So
which is, same but different, really.
With the courses and that you're doing, how many are you doing at the moment?
Oh, I'm just doing one, but it's I have to hand in assignments every week.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So I'm working 4 days a week in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And so in my own business, and I do volunteer work as well.
Yeah, right.
You spend much time for yourself?
Yeah, no, I do, because I'm on a property, so I
Yeah.
hang out in the paddock with my dogs all the time.
Oh,
Yeah. So
My husband, of course.
when he's there.
What is it?
So yeah, again, I'm just looking at a little bit of unsure about the long term effects here. Like as you said, with the money and keeping your lifestyle up, about that sort of. It feels like there's a bit of unsurety in that. You know, overall mentally, in that you're fine with it, as you said. You know, you can transition the skills, but it's more down the lower chakras and the lower 3 emotional ones, the solar plexus and navel chakra, and that feeling sort of a bit unsure to maintain the lifestyle, let's say.
I'm getting like almost like suffocated kind of feeling in this lower area.
Yeah.
And it's really weird as you're doing that. I'm going, oh my God, I can feel like I got butterflies in my stomach.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, a lot of times when we feel this stuff, especially with, we misidentify it as bad because we think, oh, there's pain there or there's butterflies or something, and we assume that there's something wrong or we're scared or whatever. Often it's scared of the positive. Often.
Yeah, look, and I've been doing lots of chakra clearing myself, because obviously that's a lot of stuff around that is in my training that I'm doing, which has sort of been something that I hadn't really been that exposed to. I was aware of it, but it's all sort of a bit of a space for me as well.
Yeah, so the good part about it is most of it, what I'm picking up, and I think John's picking up as well, most of it's in the front. So that's all more about the future. So that's good. So
great.
So you're not bringing much past shit along. It's
yeah.
like, so that's quite good. It's unsure about the future, and that's normal in when you're going through a transition. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but and it's quite a good thing, because you don't have to do as much backlog of work and get rid of all the past stuff.
Great.
I'm picking very little up on the back. Most of it's
all front side.
It's all front. So, and that's usually about the future, which is great, because it's easier to work forward than it is to work clear.
Yeah, and look, I've done an awful lot of work on cleaning that slate, and I'm very mindful. Often, the new thing that I've started, because last week I had a bit of a clearing, and it was about clearing the slate. And so I'm really mindful now of just writing down what I want on that clean slate and making sure that I'm constantly wiping off what I don't want there.
Yes, yeah. Also, one of the things we do when we're is not to put too much detail in what we want. So for the future, put more feelings of how you want it to feel, rather than the details of what it should look like.
Oh, okay,
That'll broaden it. That gives you more possibilities. So if we say, if we're trying to use the law of attraction to manifest a car, it's easy to say a luxury car that makes me feel good, and the universe can deliver that in many more ways than saying, say, a black Mercedes. It's like, because then you're limited.
Okay.
So a car that makes me feel like I would feel in a luxury four-wheel drive, and then that opens it up. So you focus more on the feeling of how that'll feel, and then it gives you a broader radar to find what the universe can deliver easier. And if you say in accordance with, what we call in accordance with divine law, so that way you don't try and use too much effort on manifesting exactly what you want, because you might get something and then that'll draw karma in with it. Whereas if you say something that makes me feel like that, so you can use the picture as a definite, here's what you want, and then drop the actual picture of the details, so to speak, and then go, or anything that makes me feel the same way as that. So anything that makes me feel that joy or that excitement or whatever it is you're going for. So let's say I want a bigger property. Let's say you were saying for that, or I want to work with this. Say I want to work with Hay House, right? instead of saying work with Hay House, you can use that as a picture. How would I feel if I was working with Hay House? I'm not saying you're going to do that, but if that was your image, then you go or anything that would make me feel the same way I would feel if I was working for Hay House. Bring me any of that. And it helps to open the picture up for the universe to deliver it by going more with the feelings rather than the specific picture. because it's like trying to get the universe to deliver everything down a little hole this big, and when you've got this picture very specific, whereas the universe could bring you something equally or better that you'll miss and you won't see it because it doesn't match the exact picture. But you go, oh, does that match the feeling? So if I wanted a position with a big wellness company or whatever, and I was picking one particular wellness company, then another wellness company or another company that might not even be a wellness company but will create the same feeling and give me the same joy, and that might be on offer, and then I might miss that offer. So that's because it feels like you're quite good at that, but you might be limiting it because you're a bit too exact on the pictures.
Yeah, so sitting in front of that, that big yacht with my glass of wine is like just appreciate whatever yacht's going to come into your life instead of that particular one.
How do you think that big yacht would make you feel?
Yeah,
right?
So that's it. So what do you feel like when you're sitting in front of that big yacht? So you say, okay, that, or you don't chuck that out. You say that or anything else that matches that feeling or makes me feel better than that. So that openness, that fun, that joy that I would be feeling there, bring me that or anything that matches that I can't possibly see right now. So something that'll bring me the same amount of joy, happiness, fun feeling, anything that matches that or that. So you don't chuck the pictures out, but you just broaden it by saying, well, anything that matches that I couldn't possibly imagine.
That really, 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 really resonates with me.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that has actually been a bit of an issue for me, that I listen to a lot of Esther with Abraham. And it's sometimes I'm going, okay, I'm a feeling type of person. I'm a huggy feeling, sort of a, pain in the ass really sometimes. But I just sometimes I get a bit confused by that. So that's really simplified it. Thank you so much.
And this is what I did for years, because I've listened to her for years as well. But I had to change the wording that she was using. So, and also staying in the positive, which is, so when you build a picture up, and especially if it's specific, like sitting in front of the big yacht, that's one of our pictures too, by the way.
That's a bit of a but yeah. Anyway.
But then we go, or anything else that makes me feel like that. And then when you picture it, so one day, like say today you picture it and you feel really positive about it and you can feel it and everything else and you've got no idea how it's going to show up, that's fine. But then you just put the same picture tomorrow and there's a little bit of doubt there. There's just a little bit of doubt, which means you're actually pushing it away, as she would say. So then you come back to the feeling and go, hey, I'm feeling that more and more. I'm not feeling it today. I was feeling it yesterday and I was feeling it all last week. Not feeling it today, but that's okay, because I'm feeling it more and more. I felt it for a whole week. And then, so that brings you back to what we call the sweet spot, what she calls that neutral place, the non-resistance. So and that's what a lot of people mistake with that, because they might be in that feeling for a week or a month or 6 months. And then all of a sudden they're not in the feeling and they imagine that picture again. And and I it took me years to work out which is doubt, right? Doubt is negative. Just a little bit of doubt thinking, oh, that's not going to happen, right? In my feelings, not in my thoughts. And then that actually starts to push it away and takes the momentum out of it. So you just go back to go, yeah, I'm feeling that more and more. I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling it right now, but I've been feeling it heaps more. So I'm getting so much closer to it. So this is the same way that Esther talks the people through and keeps them into it's. You've got to believe it, right? So some days you can believe it 100%. Other days you're like, oh, I don't know. So when you go, I don't know, you go, that's all right. I'm not sure today. I'm not feeling it today, but I'm feeling it more often. I'm feeling it. I've been feeling it more. I've felt it for longer this time than I've ever felt it before. And it's like, and maybe tomorrow I'll be feeling it fully again. And that gets you back into the belief. So you've got to believe it. Like it's picture it. So we call it the thoughts, the feelings, and the emotions. And all three of them have to line up with it. So if there's a little bit of doubt or angst or whatever, and it's like, and you think, oh, well, that can't be true because I've been feeling it all week. And it's like, but you're not feeling it now. So all that momentum you've had of drawing it to you by feeling it then starts to push it away. So then you've got to pull it back and push it away, pull it back. And so just go with the feeling, go, okay, well, I'm not feeling it as much today, but that's okay because I'm feeling it more and more. And don't say the thing that most people do is go, no, I'm feeling it.
I'm fine.
I know, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. And it's like, well, maybe you should tell your face that. You know, it's like. That's one of the ones we use on each other quite often.
I love it.
Do you believe it's going to happen? He goes, yeah. I do. And I'm like, well, maybe you should tell your face. It's like,
that is great. I love that. I absolutely love it.
And so yeah, just that's that tweaking of that thing. That's what we call the sweet spot. So if there's doubt, so there's faith or fear, they call it. So the middle is number 5. So if you're at 4.9, you're in doubt, you're in fear, you're pushing it away. So, but you don't stop that then. You don't. You just take the energy back on the picture and say, hey, it's happening more frequently. I'm getting closer to it. I'm not feeling it right now, but I have been feeling it more, so that's okay. And I'll probably feel it more again tomorrow or next week. You know, it's like, and that way you don't do that pushing away part of
the whole pendulum swing.
Yeah, you don't do pull it to you, push it away, pull it to you. So that getting into that neutral space. And the only way that it took me, I've been doing this stuff on and off for 25 years, and I started the law of attraction stuff 25 years ago, and I got quite good at it. But and also going into what we call the how-tos. So that's by going, oh, well, I need a loan, or I need this, or I need that.
I need to earn so much money on my new job.
It's like, but you don't disregard that. So yeah, maybe I need a loan, but maybe it can show up in a way that I couldn't possibly imagine.
Could win it a lot.
So yes, if you can bring me the loan, bring me the loan, or if you can bring me the right connection, bring me the right connection. But also, it could show up in some other way. So don't limit yourself to the ways you think it should show up or how it should come, or time is the real bad one, you know, as Esther will say that quite often. It's like you go in divine timing, we call it. So it'll come in divine timing. And if, you know, all I've got to do is monitor my feelings. Okay, today I'm feeling very positive and I feel like it's coming. I've got no idea how, and I don't need to know how. Stay out of the how-tos. The how-tos is what pushes it away. It's like, oh, but I need this and I need that. Well, and you say, don't say I don't need it. I don't need the loan. Say, well, the loan is one way, but it could be gifted to me. So it could come in a way that I couldn't possibly imagine. It might come along with something else, or a different version of it might come. It might not be a yacht. It might be a house in the south of France on the water there, you know.
That's right. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm really open to whatever.
Yeah, but that's how we monitor it with our feelings, and that gives the universe more ways to bring it in. So but we use the picture, use that feeling, go, yep, okay, or anything that matches that feeling. So feel yourself sitting there in the yacht with the glass of champagne and everything, and the big mega yacht, and then go, okay, so that feeling of me. Bring that if you can, universe, or anything that makes me feel the same way. Anything that makes me feel that open and that joyous and happy.
I can't wait to go sailing on your yacht, by the way.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Don't worry. There'll always be room for more, you know, a bit like our dining table. There's always a seat for somebody.
Yeah. So there's a little bit, I'm picking up a little bit, is that in... Yeah, that's the heart meridian again. So
I'm getting like heart desires. For me, it's maybe coming through like from the career. Like you really loved what you did back then, and you're maybe trying to compare that love for what you did to what you've got now. Anything like that?
Probably more loyalty than anything else. Okay. You know, that fear of it, and the loyalty I have to the current employer.
Yeah. But you said they're
even though I know it's my time to walk away.
Yeah, so you said they're a corporate, aren't they? A big corporation?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that they have no loyalty, basically.
No,
most of them.
No,
that's why I contracted 15 years ago. I left corporate. Yeah. Well, didn't leave corporate. I left corporate permanent.
Yeah.
And went contracting.
Well, I didn't. See, even when I first left, which is 3 years ago, I went back to work within weeks because I was like, oh my God, who am I? I've lost who I am.
Yes, and that's...
But I've done lots of work on that now. I don't feel like that now.
That's purpose. You know, we need a purpose. And sometimes when we're changing arenas, changing fields, and it slows down for a bit, that's the scary part. That's the part where, oh, look, it's not... And we've got to sit in that. So you're used to a certain amount of money. You're used to a certain amount of lifestyle. Even if that drops off temporarily, that's already on your rate, what we call on your radar, right?
It is.
So that even if you stay on this path of what you're doing and following your heart, even if it dips down for a little bit, it won't take long, months or whatever, and then it'll flow back in this way. You just don't give up because it looks like on the outside, like she says, don't beat the drum of what is. You know?
I read a quote today. It was something like, overwhelmment was when the universe is delivering you what you wanted, but you're not ready for it yet.
I know. Isn't that bizarre? Yeah. It's like I started to get all these clients, and then I went to another job.
Yeah, and this is what I'm feeling with the heart fluttering, and that's why your loyalty. It's not actually loyalty. That's how you're seeing it as loyalty. It's actually you're using. It's like the subconscious using loyalty as an excuse because you know that the corporation's not loyal to you, even if the boss is. The corporation's not. So loyalty is only good if it's reciprocated. So corporates aren't loyal; they're loyal to the profit. You know, the old style corporates. There is new corporates now that are coming from a win-win perspective, and they are changing. But most of them are still from that competitive mindset. So you know, once they've got everything out of you, it's time for you to retire. There's no loyalty there. Here you go. Here's a plastic gold watch. See you later. You know, it's like. Where's your loyalty gone? You know, so it's probably a misidentify of loyalty of worrying about this. It's almost like this new stuff. It's too good to be true. It's like it's happening, and it's like and I don't want to take that risk of stepping into it fully. And if you do, there is usually in the learning curve. There's 4 stages of learning. They call it unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, then you've got conscious competence, and that's when you're learning it and you're learning how to do it more consciously, and then eventually it's unconscious competence where you just do it, you don't even think about it, you don't even know how you do it. So you've probably got a little bit of apprehension because you're still in that conscious competence stage of focusing on it and learning how to do it in this arena. As you said, the skills are already there. You're just moving it from one field to another field, and that's what I'm sort of picking up on, the apprehension and the fear and the heart. It's just like, and it's like, it's almost like it's too good to be true, but it's not. It's not too good. If it's too good to be true, then that is something to worry about. But if it's very good to be true, that's different. That means you're doing the right thing. A lot of people misidentify that as what's too good to be true. You know, so we always use, one of our things is, if it's light, it's right. If it's heavy, it's a lie. So if you feel light, but sometimes when it feels real light, it feels like nothing. But that's because it's so light and you couldn't imagine it, like John was saying before. You know, that's the one where the universe is all bringing it. It's like, really? I'm not even quite ready for it yet.
That's right. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Everything, just all the stars aligned and it went boom, 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 boom.
Maybe,
here's a ticket out, off you go.
Yeah.
Maybe you are manifesting it.
Yeah.
And I'm a really good manifester.
Yeah. So maybe it's more than the stars aligned. Maybe more than the stars aligned. Maybe you aligned with the stars.
Well, that's true.
Maybe change that. It's like there's always, it's 2 ways. You've got to align. So there's a saying, when the teacher's ready, the student appears. But it's also the other way around. When the student's ready, the teacher appears. It requires both.
Well, that's true.
And so you're aligning with the stars. So and that's why, you know, like Abraham says, you're going downstream and you're so used to paddling upstream for so long, making all this effort, it almost seems too easy. But it's not too easy, because you're not floating downstream and not paddling. This is one thing that she doesn't point out too much. She goes, go downstream, go with the flow. But she doesn't say throw the oars away. Right?
No, that's right. You never know when you might need them. Just in a rocky place.
So you're still going downstream, but if you're coming to the rapids, you want to pedal over to the other side so you don't hit the rocks, right? So you do it going downstream. Still means you make a little bit of effort, but you're not just constantly paddling. So, and that's that's probably the part that's disconcerting for you, because you're so used to paddling all the time, and it's like, oh, this is. But you know, you're still paddling. You're still directing a little bit, but you're only directing 20% of what you used to.
I am. You're so right. That is absolutely spot on.
And so because a lot of people, myself included, I nearly choked on that one. I kept switching, working hard and paddling upstream, and I go, okay, no, I'm just going to go downstream, and then I just chuck the oars in the boat and go, okay, and then you're going downstream, and you end up hitting the rocks, because it doesn't mean you don't paddle, it doesn't mean you don't make any effort. You just make it at a time, just still direct, but you don't have to do it all the time. You don't have to do half or 20% as much as you used to.
Yeah, there's still free choice and decision, right? So there's still decisions that need to be made.
You've still got to look at, like, you're going downstream, that you can feel it. Oh, there's some rapids coming. So I'll just do a few paddles and get over to this side of the river, and then I'll go straight past the rocks and it won't affect me. So yeah, that's a lot of people go, okay, well, I'm just not going to do nothing. And then they go, oh yeah, this is great for a little bit. And then they get dragged into the rocks because they're not paddling at all. And so it's not just surrendering and not doing anything. It just means surrender, do your little bit here and there instead of doing all the work all the time. Yeah. And it's hard to, because you've been so used to doing all the work, like I'm manifesting in that for so long, because you've been going upstream and you probably did it quite well, but you realise it still wasn't really that great.
Well, yeah, that's right. That sometimes you do things because you feel you have to, but you actually don't. It's still a choice.
Yeah. So that's I think with the apprehension and that, just check in on it. Like when you're going, well, this feels a little bit scary, and what I ask, is that good fear? Because sometimes it can be. It's exciting.
It's exciting fear.
It's exciting fear. It's like, it's the fear of the unknown, but it's an exciting fear of the unknown. It's exciting.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but then it feels like fear, so we think it's wrong, and we automatically make it worse and go, oh, okay, I'm getting heart palpitations. Like, yeah, but these are the good heart palpitations. This is because you're excited, not because you're, So we always check on that one too. So sometimes, like, you can get a pain. Usually you get a pain, it's something bad. But sometimes you'll get a pain and it's actually telling you something good. It's actually telling you you're on the right track because you're expanding, growing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you've got to check, is this a good pain or a bad pain? Or is this a good fear?
And how do you tell the difference for that?
Well, you just ask the question.
So one of our tools we've got, which we call, it's really your intuition, which we call check in with your inner guru. So you check in with yourself. You're asking yourself, your
inner being.
Your inner being, whatever it is, am I going to be late for work today? Or am I going to make my train today? Whatever that question is, and you just ask yourself that question, and you see how you feel about it. Yeah. Do you feel light about it? Do you sort of suddenly sit up a little bit?
Yeah. So
does it get brighter in the room, or does it get dull, heavy?
You can watch your posture. You can watch the smile. You can feel the smile on your face when you say, so is this a positive fear? Is this a positive nervousness? Oh, yeah. I just smiled a bit more. I just felt a bit lighter. Oh, okay. So don't worry about it. Like John can tell you his example of it, because he was getting, a lot of the times when he wasn't in his heart in the early stages of the training, he would get this pressure there and like a pain just to the side here. And then he was used to that. So he'd try and clear it and go, okay, just get into my heart, and it would all go away. And then one time he says, oh, I'm getting that pain again and I'm not in my heart. And I was going to try and help him clear it. And I was like, and then I checked and I'm like, are you sure you're not in your heart? Yeah. And I go, check if you are in your heart and you think you're not, and that's causing the pain. But because it was the same pain that usually showed up when he wasn't in his heart, he automatically assumed that it was so sometimes heart flutters and that are positive. A lot of the time they're negative. So if you say, oh, is this a positive fear because I'm stepping out and I'm expanding and I'm growing? So
we're so conditioned that if you've got a pain, go to the doctor. Right? You've got a pain, this. But your body gives you messages. Sometimes it's pain. Yeah. Sometimes it's the only way for it to get you to realize, go, hang on a mate, you got to do something. This is good. Stop freaking out.
This is a positive fear. This is an expansion because you're expanding. You're out of your comfort zone. That's a good. That's a good fear. That's a positive. What we call a positive fear. Because it's not really fear. It's more nervousness more than anything.
It is. Yeah.
But it's like but. Especially because a lot of the times these things will show up and they feel like the same thing that it was all the time when it was negative. You get the same type of feeling, like the fluttering in the heart or whatever. And then it's like, oh, but this time it's different. This time it's because of a good reason. If you check and say, is it because of a good reason this time? Is this positive? And you'll feel it and it'll dissipate a little bit. It just gets less painful, less heavy or something like that. And that's how you check. And so,
and I do, when I'm doing my work, that's absolutely what happens to me,
Yeah.
When I'm working with my clients, it just it just flows.
Yeah.
It just comes and it just works.
Yeah. So that's, these little tweaks, it's like, as I said, you needed to find that little part, that explanation of, how do you know if you're feeling it and how do you know to let the universe, and that's why we use feeling a lot. to feel. You go,
Mm.
does it feel light?
Mm.
And sometimes I can feel my energy expand and the aura expand. Sometimes I can see the room light up, but other times I just pay attention to my posture. I go, oh, I just sat back up. My chin just came up a little bit. Oh, then obviously it feels lighter. My body just expanded. That feels light. Oh, I just got enlightened. Wow. It's
you know, maybe using like remembering if you're in a situation where you're not with a client and you're coming up with something that you wanted to check in on, remembering how that flows with your client, right?
Yeah.
You know, and just go, okay, well, if I was with a client, this is what I do. I just know. I just, intuitively just go, okay, I'll do that. I'll do this. I'll do that. Try and bring that part of what you know you do well into the rest of the life.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's a way that we do it. Often we'll go, so if I was one of my clients now and my client was saying what I'm saying to myself, what would I say to my client? You know? Oh, let it go.
It works.
And it works so well. It's like,
yeah, that's true. That's so true.
I do it with my kids. I go, okay, this story I'm going on with, all this stuff. If my kid was telling me this and I know all of their details, what would I say to my child? And then I go, okay, can you take your own advice?
Yeah, that's true. It's funny. It's really funny you say that, because my husband often says that to me. He goes, you're so good at telling all these other people. Why don't you practice it?
Oh, he's a clever man.
Right. Okay.
And that's how you practice it. You just sit there and imagine yourself. Like, I actually use my imagination and sit myself, a version of myself over in the other chair, and I listen to my story to myself, and then I think of that version of me being one of my clients and go, now what would I say if that I know the story that you're telling me this story? Just relax. Just sit down, relax. You're on the right track. Just wait a bit longer. Just open up, and then I go.
I really like that.
Yeah, it seems to work because you've obviously built a lot of belief up with how that works for you with your clients, right? Yeah. So you've got the belief, you know you can do this in that situation, but you're just transferring that to the rest of the decision making in your life, right?
Yeah.
That's true. That's so true.
Yeah. So just when I do it, sometimes I'll visualize that and I go, okay, I change my name. I go, okay, this is John. I used to have a nickname, JD,
John and
right?
John. We've already got John and John, right?
So I go, okay, I'm John advising JD, because that used to be my nickname, right? So I go, okay, JD, tell me your story, which I already know. And then I go, okay, so what you need to do is relax, or just let it go for a moment. You're on the right track. Just keep going where you're going with. And then I go, oh, okay, all right, yeah, okay, that's good. Because as I said, you've got enough clients, you know how to do this. So it's just that little imagination technique works really well.
It is. I love it. I really love it. I'm going to be keeping this recording myself and making sure I keep playing it back. And
it's on Facebook.
Yeah,
so
we'll whack it on there.
We'll whack it on Facebook. So
we'll send you a link to the tool to check in on your inner guru.
Yeah,
we've got a YouTube video.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
that would be great, and I'll share that too. So,
you just do these practices, and because everything that I'm getting, and even that apprehension that was in the front now, that's nearly all cleared. So the heart.
Great.
The heart one's gone. The throat's a little bit. It's still the throat's feeling a bit.
Funny, my throat's a bit dry.
Yeah, the throat's been a bit blocked now because the other one. It's like, so how am I going to say this? Is probably what you're thinking about. How am I going to tell other people this? And so you'll know at the time, just like you do with your clients. So just talk yourself through that. You don't have to work out how to say it now.
No.
Work out in the moment. When you need to say it, you'll know what to say then. You just say, I'm good at this. That's a future me issue.
Future me problem. Future me solution.
Future me solution. I don't need to work it out now. Not here.
When you pick up an apple, you don't just go.
I love that. I really love that.
You grab an apple and you have a bite. Take a bite. Okay, I'm going to bite this side now, and I'm going to bite that side now. Just approach it that way. Just take the first bite. See what happens.
Yeah. And so we often say that's a future me solution or a past me problem. That if we're worrying about something that has happened to us quite frequently through our life, we go, but this version of me now is very different from that and won't handle it the same way the version of me that last year that handled it. So that might have been true of that version of me, but this version of me is going to handle it very different. Very different. This is version 6.0. It's going to handle it very different
with my luxury
5.5. And it's the same with, okay, how am I going to say this to people? This is a new technique. How am I going to say it to people? Well, you're not with the people now, so you don't need to work that out. And so that's a future you solution. When the person comes to you, you just say, well, I'll know what to do. I always know what to do. The future me will know what to do, and he'll say it perfectly, even though I've got no idea how to say it right now. And it's like, and it just takes.
Yeah, that really makes sense.
Yeah. So that one really works quite a lot to sort of stop you from going into the how-tos and all of that sort of stuff. It's like, I don't know, that's not right now. That's tomorrow. That tomorrow version of me will nail it like it nails everything else.
Yep.
Yeah. And that sort of takes a lot of that apprehension away. So, yep, okay, I want to sort of incorporate some of these ways of saying it, because obviously this is like my version of what Abraham says and what a couple of the other ones say. But I like to say it this way because it works with my mind, and I think this might be the Aussie version, I reckon.
I love it.
They've got the American version, we've got the Aussie version.
But hey, well, the thing is, we have so much of that around that we have so much more less in Australia. So we do have to modify it to meet our environment, really.
It's just a different language. It's just like slightly different wording works better for it's the same tool, the same techniques, but for there's you can say the same tool thousands or hundreds of different versions in hundreds of different languages. So sometimes one wording or one version works better for you than the other, but it's the same technique. It's the core is the law of attraction, maybe, and so you can explain it in hundreds or thousands of different ways.
Well, you can. That's right, and everybody understands it differently as well.
So we use like little parables and symbolic ways. I often look at what the person does and then try and match it to that. Like if it's a housewife, I go, so imagine this is like taking care of your house. You don't try and clean all the rooms at once. You just clean one room and you get that one clean. Then you go to the other one. If you get them all, it's overwhelming because we had a big party last night.
Or you outsource it.
Yeah, or you outsource it. If you're smart, you outsource it to the kids. Go, you have that one. You have that one.
You want that pocket money?
Yeah, it's very good. So, all right.
Yeah, I think
so we're done on the time now. So test out some of the techniques. Re-listen to the video, and post and comment on the video again later on. And if you've got any questions about how we worded some of it, or if you a lot of the times when you word it one way, then the intellect or the ego learns that wording and it doesn't work as good. So that's why we have, we'll have 10 different versions of the same thing so that the ego can't start using it against us. It goes, oh yeah, that feels light. I'm sitting up. That feels light. It's like,
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, it's like, that feels light. Tell your face. Look at the look on your face. It's like, we constantly change it so that the ego or the intellect doesn't sort of grab it and sabotage it on us. So test it out, comment on the videos, and thank you very much for.
Well, thank you both very much. I really, really appreciate that, and it's really, really aligned to my energy. So I'm really grateful. And thanks for your time. We finally got there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks a lot, Sharon.
Thank
See ya.
you. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.